Alright, Shalom, this is your Tazadak Hero Israel. Shalom Israel. I'd like to start off giving the honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Today we're going to Zechariah chapter 12, going into the Hebrew. So Lord willing you're edified, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Let's get right into it. Zechariah chapter 12, right? The header of this chapter is Jerusalem to be attacked, right? So let's get right into it. This is Zechariah 12 and 1. It reads, "The burden of the word of the Lord upon Israel, saith the Lord, that stretched out the heavens, and founded the earth, and formed the spirit of man within him. Masha'ah tabar Yahweh al Yasha'ala, Na'am Yahweh Natah Shemayim Wayasad Aratazah Wayatazar Rakah Adam Bakwarabwa." Right? Because that word Yatazar means to form, right? Zechariah 12 and 2. "Behold, I will place unto Jerusalem a bowl of reeling," which really that's talking about a post or a base of reeling, right? But you could say a bowl, right? To all the nations round about, and even upon Judah, there will be a siege beside Jerusalem. Hana Anakia Sham Atha Yerushalayim Sap Rayal Lakal Ha'amayim Sabyab Wagam Al Yahawada Yahaya Ba Matazar Al Yerushalayim." Right, let's look at that word sap, right? Here it says a cup, translated in a blue letter. So let's take a look at it. Let's look at the concordance results. Sometimes it's referenced as a basin, a threshold, bowl, threshold, or base of a door, which are the two posts. The lintel is the top of the door frame, right? The posts are the sides, right, which are the base of the frame, which hold up the frame, right? Which just to keep it simple, it's really just a base. Doorpost, gate, post, threshold, basin. Threshold, basin, goblet, bowl, cup. Threshold, sill. Salakia. So the Lord said that, "Behold, I will place unto Jerusalem, basically a cup of reeling," right? Because that's what the King James Bible says. Or base of reeling, however you put it. The point is that this truth coming out would be a terror, right, to the nations, like it says in Revelation chapter 11, right? But also, right, the remnant waking up, right? The nations know that something's gonna go down, eventually, not right away, right? But right, something big is coming, right? Which is which is Yahweh Shai, which is the third woe, right? Uh, the destruction prophesied of America, Babylon the Great, right? That's that cup of reeling to the nations round about, even to Judah, which will be in the siege beside Jerusalem, right? Judah is referenced as the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom here is referenced as Jerusalem, right? Which is America is under a siege. Why? Because the world as a whole, by the spiritual demon Satan, right? There's an attempt to destroy the current system and to bring up another system through the ultimately leading to the charagma, right? And in the middle of that, you're gonna have the remnant waking up. You're gonna have things going down, right? So basically, the Lord's saying that northern and southern kingdom, they're not gonna escape these times, right? Which are perilous times, which is the truth coming out, right? The prophecies going out, the word going out, right? Zechariah 12:3, and it will come to pass in the day that is, I will place into Jerusalem a stone burdensome to all the peoples, or to all the nations, right? All that burden themselves with her shall surely be cut, and will be gathered uh, um, and will be gathered upon her all the nations of the earth, right? Because the number one target is you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans of indigenous, Negro, and Taino descent, as well as confusion of face. Those who may look like Edomites, though you may look like a so-called Japanese, right? The Spirit bears witness, right? Will bear witness to His word, right? Um, but the majority are here in America, Babylon the Great. um, Isaiah 11:11 says that there's a remnant scattered throughout the rest of the earth as well, but it's a few, right? So that burdensome stone is Yahweh Shai, which is the volume of the book, which is the prophecies, the remnant waking up, the judgment upon 2/3 of our people, the nations, Esau, Edom, right? They're gonna try to lift it up. They're gonna try to, right, twist the words of the scriptures, but ultimately they're not gonna prevail. They're gonna try to lift it. It's gonna ultimately cut them, right? Even right in the sense of them, uh, basically there's no other doctrine being talked about except the Israelites in the scriptures in these days, right? You don't have Buddha prophesying. You don't have, right, uh, um, these other doctrines. They're not they're not really they're not saying anything, right? The scriptures are speaking and they're coming alive, right? They're getting cut, right, with the word, right? You can't now that the truth is out, you can't take the scriptures and add your own twist to it, just like Esau has done, Ishmael. They all try to twist the scripture, but now you can't do it, because you're gonna get cut. The words of scripture are against you. The Lord is against you, right? And His counsel is going to be fulfilled, right? Um, so though they be gathered against her, all the nations of the earth, because not just scripturally, right? But also, right, you're going to have the nations. Number one, the eye is on the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, right? That magnifying glass, right? Because believe it or not, these other nations, they know what the hell's going on. They know who Jake is. They know that something's coming, and right, they're waiting, right, just to see what happens next. Esau's waiting to see what happens next. Everyone's waiting to see when this charagma, how it's going to be revealed, what's going to happen next. And ultimately, when the armies of the earth come up against Jerusalem, which is after America, Babylon the Great gets destroyed, the remnant get delivered, be placed back into their own land, given spiritual power, right? Literally the whole earth, the armies are going to gather against one people, which is the elect, that are delivered and receive spiritual power in the land of in Israel, the land of Israel, right? In Jerusalem, right? So it says, Wahaya Bayawam Ha Hawa Ashayam Ata Yerushalayim Aban Ma Masa Lakol Ha Emayim Call Amasya Sharat Ya Sharat Wa Na Asap Wa Alya Call Gawaya Ha Rataza, right? Because that word imas means to load or to be laden with for example, barrels. You load a truck with some barrels, you load them imas. But in this case, it's another way to say burden, figuratively. Sharat means to cut, like it says in the law, thou shalt not make no cuttings in your flesh, right? A cut or incision, that's what it means, to cut or an incision. More closely an incision, because karath means to cut. Sharat means incision, but here it's in the case of cutting, which is essentially the same thing, just in different senses, right? Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 4. In the day that is, saith the Lord, I will smite to all the horses in astonishment, and their rider in madness. And upon the house of Judah I will open to my eyes, and all the horses, and all horses of the peoples I will smite with blindness. Zechariah 12 and 4. Vayawam ha hawa na'am Yahweh Akah Kol Sawas Bath Thamawan Wa Rakabwa Ba Shagaiwan Wa'al Bayath Yahawada Apakwach Ata Ayanya Wakal Sawas Ha Amayim Akah Ba Iwaran, right? So that word meaning I, ka mean to smite, right? Or naka. Thamawan, right? Means to be astonished, which is a cognate of that is shama, or it could either be shama or thama, but it essentially means the same thing. Just the tha is substituted for the sha. Shagai means madness. Pakwach means to open. Not like pathach, but it's used in a different sense. Right, to open it's a particular understanding, right? And all the horses of the people shall be smitten with blindness. So essentially it's talking about, right, in the time of Jacob's trouble, right? The modern day horse is what? Um, your vehicle, the modern day, right? The modern day horse is the engine of the vehicle, the core of the vehicle, whether it be a aerial vehicle, whether it be a ship, right? The chariot is the vehicle itself, and or the rider, Salaki, the rider, right, is the one controlling the vehicle, right? So when all hell breaks loose, right, you're gonna have, right, right, the vehicle is gonna be, right, you're gonna have, for example, smoke and fire, and right, you're gonna have, in the time of the third woe, you're gonna have missiles being shot out everywhere. You're gonna have smoke, right? Uh, Nuclear fallout entering into the vehicles, entering into the engine of the vehicles, right? The rider is gonna be, right? It's gonna be confusion everywhere, right? But the Lord is going to watch over, right? The house of Judah, right? She says, "I will open my eyes, watch over the house of Judah," right? Because essentially that's talking about the head tribes, right? It's just gonna basically it's talking about Israel as a whole, right? The Lord is gonna watch over the elect in the time of Jacob's trouble, and all the horses of the people with blindness, right? Because that's just talking about the chaos that's gonna happen, right? You're gonna have those going to and fro, right? They're not gonna know where the hell to go, because it's gonna be a lot of shit's gonna go down, right? Um, so that word awara means blindness, right? Basically, that's just talk. Verse 4 is just talking about the chaos that's gonna ensue, right? In these latter days, it's not talking about. Now, one may say that it's talking about the desolation, 70 A.D., but it's not what it's talking about. Because all nations were not gathered against it, like it says in verse 3. Now, verse 1. Let's look at that word Rael. Pull out my notes to make another point. Sometimes you may read Rael or Rayash. Slovakia, bear with me. So Rael to real. Slovakia, Rael to real. Astonishment figuratively, drunkenness figuratively, or rayash meaning to shake or to tremble. Another cognate to that is rayad, meaning to shake or to tremble. Essentially means the same thing, right? Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 5. And will say the chieftain of Judah in their heart, they're encouraged. They are encouraged by me, the dwellers of Jerusalem, and the Lord of hosts, their God. Right, because it starts with Judah. Right, the awakening starts with Judah, the remnant. Right, 1 West, Harlem, New York, 125th Street. Right, the truth came out. Right, continued with our elders and apostles of Great Mill Stone. Right, this is the Lord opening his eyes towards Judah, watching over Judah. Right, so of course the Lord is going to right, keep his men intact. Those are right. That is their lot, to make it through Jacob's trouble. Right, but in that day, right, this is just going into a little right forward. What we should look forward to. Right, how Jacob's trouble is going to happen. Right. So it says, and will say the chieftain of Judah in their heart, they're encouraged by me, the dwellers of Jerusalem, and the Lord of hosts, their God. Right? And that's what our elders are saying basically today, right? Uh, they understand that they have a work to do, right? They understand, right, that there's others entering into their labor, and their labor is not in vain, right? Because the word is going out, right? You got other, right, students coming up, right? We're not here to take a position, to take right, to glorify, we're not here man worshiping, right? We give the double honors, because that's who the Lord gave us to learn from, right? We're not overstepping anybody. We're those that are coming into this thing. They're right, going immediately into their office, right, working on their office and doing their part and adding their brick into this thing, right? And our elders understand that, right? Wa abar wa alapia yahabuda ba labam ba labma amataza laya yashabia yarashalam ba Yahawah tazapawath alahayaham. Salakia. Zechariah 12 and 6. In that day that is, I will place unto the chieftains of Judah a laver of fire, upon wood, and a torch of fire upon the sheaves, and will consume upon the right and upon the left to all of the peoples round about, and will dwell Jerusalem again in its place in Jerusalem, which is talking about the people, right? By Yawam ha Hawa Ashayim Tha Alapia Yahawada Ka Yawar Ash Ba Aitazayam Waka Lapyad Ash Ba Amyar Wa Akal Wa Al Yamayan Wa Al Shama'al Atha Kal Ha Amayim Sabyab Wa Yashaba Yarashalam Iwad Takhathya Ba Yarashalam. Right? Basically, this is talking about the Lord giving first dibs onto the elect when they receive spiritual power, right? To consume these armies when they are gathered against the holy city, right? Like it says in the book of Revelation. Let's get that real quick. First dibs, right? Really, Yahushua has first dibs, but right, there's an order, right? This is just a way of the Lord, right? Just giving a shout out to Judah, right? The elect, basically saying you're gonna get yours too. Don't worry. Revelation 20:9, and they went up upon the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about in the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. Right? Which is the armies of the earth. Camp of the saints is the elect. Right? So there's various accounts throughout scripture about that day. Right? You just have to search and find it. Right? So that word kayawar or kawar is a laver, right, where you would wash your hands and before you'd enter the temple and purify yourself. You would wash yourself, right, according to the law, right. Lapayad is a torch. Amyar or Amar is a sheave. For example, a bundle of wheat is a sheave, right. Yamayan means right, Shama'al means left, right? So basically Judah's going to be, it's going to a little something like this. Let's give you a little visual. Salakia. Screw that up. It'll be something like this, right? Alright, you got the chariots. Alright. And you got the Arby's. All these little dots are the Arby's just round about. Alright. You have Judah just flying everywhere and just, right. It's gonna be a sight, right? Salakia. Zechariah, let's see how many more verses we got left. Alright, Con. We're almost done. Zechariah 12:7. And will save the Lord unto the tents of Judah first, so that with will not be greater in comeliness the house of David, and in comeliness the inhabitants of Jerusalem against Judah. Right here, the house of David is talking about the contemporaries, right, during the time of David, right, but it's also talking about the elect, right, the remnant, right, which is the elect and the great multitude, right. So the Lord saving the tents of Judah first, meaning, right, that Judah would wake up first, right, in these latter days. And back then, they got to hear Yahushua during his ministry first, because they were still in that land. They still remained there during that time, right? Because that is the head tribes, right? They were supposed to get the truth first. They were supposed to hear Yahushua first, right? Which is, you read about that in the book of Hosea. Salakia, let's get that real quick. Let me just put this down. In the King James Bible. This is Hosea 11 and 12. Let's lock it. Hosea 11 and 12. Ephraim compassed me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit, but Judah yet ruleth with God, and is faithful with the saints. Right, so the Lord, right, waking up Judah first, right, so they may not magnify themselves, right, the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, right, basically, right, the remnant, right, so that basically, right, particular men wouldn't say, okay, well, the Lord favored us first, and us first. The Lord said specifically Judah, because it starts with Yahushai. So you gotta have Yahushai. Without Yahushai, there isn't, the scriptures don't add up. Right? Why did he say Judah, then house of David, then Jerusalem? Right? Because that's talking about Yahushai and the heads of the tribes. Right? So it says, Zechariah 12 and 7, Wahawashai, Yahweh Atha Achalia, Yahweh Bara Ashna, Lamayan, meaning in order to, or for so, or on account of, right? They would not be made greater. La'ath Agadal, in comeliness, Dapa Arath, the house of David, Bayath Dawayad, and were not made greater in comeliness, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Watha Pa'arath, Yashab Yerushalayim, against Judah, Al Yahawada. Zechariah 12 and 8, in the day that is, he will defend the Lord, even upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Bayawam Ha-Hawa, Yagan Yahawah Ba'ad, Yashab Yerushalayim, and it will come to pass, he that stumbles upon them, amongst them, in the day that is, will be like unto David, Wahaya, Ha Nakashal, Baham, Bayawam Ha Hawa, Ka Dawayad, because the word Kashal means a stumble or a stumbling block in certain cases. Not feeble, but that's basically, you can say feeble, right? And the house of David would be like God, like the angel. And the house of David would be like the gods, like the angel of the Lord before him. Wabayath Dawayad, Ka Alahayim, Ka Mala'aka Yahawah Lapan Yaham. It's talking about the elect getting spiritual power, right? Zechariah 12 and 9, and it will come to pass in that day that is, I will seek to destroy to all the nations that go against Jerusalem. Wa Haya Bayawam Ha Hawa Abakwash Laha Shamyad Atha Kal Hagawayim Ha Ba'ayim Al Yerushalayim. Zechariah 12 and 10, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and favor, and will look unto me, unto which they have pierced, and will mourn upon him, according to the mourning of one upon one's only son, and will be bitter, and bitterly will be upon him, and will be bitter upon him, like the bitterness of one upon his firstborn. Wa Shapakthaya al Bayath Dawayad wa al Yashab Yerushalayim Raka Khan Watha Hananyam Wahab Bayatwa Alia Atha Ashar Tekwarwa Wa Sapad Wa Alyawa Kama Sapad Al Hayachayad Wahamar Alyawa Kahamar Al Ha Bakar. Right? Shapak meaning the poor. Right? The spirit of grace is Khan. And favor. Hananyam. The Hananyam. Bayat meaning to look. Unto me, unto which they have pierced the quar. The quar is not the actual word for pierce. The quar means to stab, right? To pierce is, I believe that's nakwab. And will lament sapad upon him like the lamentation of his only born son, Yachayad, because achad meaning one, Yachad meaning together, Yachayad meaning it denotes an only one, as in an only son. Hamar meaning bitterness, right? Like the bitterness of a firstborn, right? That's talking about Yahushai, whom was pierced. They looked upon him, right? The Judites, the southern kingdom that remained there during the time of when they dwelt under the Romans, right? So they saw Yahushai getting delivered up and crucified, right? But it's also the elect. Once they get delivered, everything gets settled down, the armies get destroyed, right? There's I'm speaking as a man. There's going to be an actual revisitation of that, as in like in a vision or whatever the case may be, right? And we're all going to feel like crap, right? Because right, there was some of us that were in that time that witnessed that, right? In the past life, right? But we're gonna see it, right? In a vision, right? After all these things come to pass, right? And right, in the 2/3, I mean, they're gonna get, right? I'm speaking as a man. They're gonna see that vision too, and they're gonna be ashamed, which is why the scriptures say, right? Some to everlasting joy and some to everlasting contempt. Because even after certain 2/3 get destroyed, right, they're going to remember that they went off in the kingdom, right? But they're going to be all right, right? Zechariah 12:11, in the day that is, there will be a great lamentation in Jerusalem, according to the lamentation of Hadad Raman, in the valley of troops, Megiddo, Bayawam Ha-Hawa Yagadol, Ha-Masapad Bayerushalayim, Ka-Masapad Hadad Raman, Ba-Bakwayath, Magadwan. Zechariah 12:12. And will mourn the land of the clans of the families, besides the clan of the house of David, beside and their wives beside, or alone, and the clans of the house of Nathan beside, as in by themselves, and their wives apart. Salakia, that's what I meant to say. Apart. Was sapada ha'rataza mashapakta labad mashapakta bayaf de wayad labad wa nashayaham labad mashapakta bayath nathan labad wa nashayaham labad. Zechariah 12 and 13, the clans of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart. The clans of Shimeites apart, and their wives apart. Mashapakta Bayath Lawaya Labad Wanashayaham Labad Mashapakta Ha Shemaya Labad Wanashayaham Labad. And all of the clans that remain of the clans of the families apart and their wives apart were called Ha Mashapakta, Ha Nasha'arath, Mashapakta, Labad, Wa Nashayaham, Labad. Right, so all the other families, every family by itself, with their woman folk by themselves, right? That's because it's talking about back then, and it's talking about, right, future tense as well, right? Because we're all ultimately going to see that, right? That vision, right? Again, I'm speaking as a man on this part. But it is true that those that were in that land back then, they saw the Messiah. They lamented particular men and women, right? Because the elect were there back then, right? How many and which clans and families, we don't know the particulars, right? So with that is Zechariah chapter 12, going into the Hebrew. This brother Yatazdak, hero of Israel. And as always, Lord willing, you're edified, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Mekakwadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Kwam Yasha Allah, Abad Babal, and Shalom.